through space. One is information. One holds the key. On, the brain takes energy and forms perceptual experience. What I mean by this, consciousness exists regardless, energy exists regardless, but the individual with the brain takes the energy and sees it. So, what you do is you begin the pattern. You turn the system on, it moves through space and implies its platonicity, its its physical embodiment. It has a length, a width, a height. It's got physical properties. And so when you begin the process of watching and listening, what you're doing is you are connecting the codes that are present in reality. You're connecting the codes. You're looking at the framework of how it goes with the information that you have. And so the example I used was turn the system on and it moves through space, implying it's got physical dimensionalities to it. And this is sort of just a mind exercise to get you thinking about different things. Um, because what I'm really trying to say is that the substrate of experience on the fundamental level, what stuff is made out of, what reality, where reality is, what it is simply nothing. There is, and it's from this nothing that all things emerge. Quantum fields, consciousness, um, the fundamental forces. These things are derived from nothing, which can be characterized in one way. And the way to characterize nothing is by saying, well, it's not bound to any perimeter or limitation. It's simply formless. And so you look at quantum field theory, and what you have is that a system being measured affects the system. And so this is tied into what you would call an individual observer. And so basically, this implies that consciousness and its rules are written within the laws of quantum field theory, you know? And so when you watch and you listen, I can't tell you what you'll see and hear, but I promise it will be something that's a lot different than if you weren't watching and listening. So what I think is happening is nothing is really indestructible. It can't not exist. How do you get rid of nothing? And so the laws of quantum physics come into play because, it somehow observed itself, formed itself into a universe with functioning parts that are all microcosms of it. If you look within yourself deeply, if you just look, and then you'll realize that what you are is actually the experience that you have. And if you're paying attention to that, you are your attention. And you are so the person observing this process as well. But the point is, the laws of emergence are what dictate how reality evolves. From nothing, something, from multiple somethings arising to self-assembly, intelligence. It's like a process that can infinitely change and present itself in different ways because it's based on nothing. Hello. So, being aware of the present moment and being aware of yourself, because the key to all the teachings, the Buddhists, the esotericists, the even Christians who actually know what Christianity is, know that observer consciousness is the holy awareness that is the root of all things. It is Jesus who is one with the God and the universe. It is Jesus who taught that everyone has the same gift. We're all children. And now some people don't use the metaphor of a child, but the universe, the physical world and space is something that consciousness was one with at a point in time. And then we became individuals who are literally just looking into a framework of logic and information. The physical world was sort of like the skin of the divine being who existed in a much more multi-dimensional system than this four-dimensional reality. And then some say it was severed, some say it looked into it and became this, but behind the veil, there are entities that have universes like toys, and they basically are the toys, and the toys come alive and start making little toys within them. And that's what your life is. That's what all our lives are. And it's along the lines of just paying attention to what happens. And it's along the lines of the laws of emergence, because you put it together in a maximum amount of ways that it can go. You now have logarithmically more possibilities than just looking at the number of parts that there are. You put all those combinations together, and all of a sudden you get a levels-based mechanism that is generating higher level experience from the ground up. And that's how the universe is programmed. And a lot of people realize this and they use it to their advantage to manifest things that they want. But we as human beings are pre-programmed with access to knowledge of good and evil, and to knowledge of uh, the way that the world functions. It's something that we already know within ourselves. We just kind of have to like carve it out. And a lot of people come to this conclusion, but they don't really investigate it. Where do thoughts come from? How can you tell me that thoughts are three-dimensional or four-dimensional if they aren't measurable in any scientific way? There's no shape to a thought, there's no texture, there's no calculatable way to even describe it to somebody else. You know what I mean? So to me, thoughts are perfect examples of higher dimensions, and they come from higher dimensions. It's like we're little otters paddling in the water, like, and every time we bop our head up, we catch like a fly. I don't know if otters eat flies, maybe we're frogs. But you know what I mean? And the fly exists in the sky, even though the frog lives in the water. So we're living in the physical world because of our bodies, but we truly exist in a much higher information lattice than this. And there are infinite combinations of these infinite lati because you still have a structure to it, but it never runs out. It's infinite. It never runs out. And so the universe just constantly presents itself, observes itself, and transforms. These are what's happening always. And there are places, though, and like I point this out in Pi, they say it never repeats, but it does because there are sections that repeat within itself that are you know, they don't cause the whole number to repeat itself. They're just sections within it, kind of like a black hole. But we can get into that theory later. But the point is, it's infinite, it's structured. Okay. So the only way that the system can function is by combining conscious awareness, as in, you're sitting here listening to me talk about this, with physical energy. And energy on this side of the universe just means vibration or spin or what have you. But on the other side, where DMT elves lie, energy functions on different principles. And so, like I was saying with Pi, there are areas of the universe that are infinite. And this is how you answer questions about heaven. But in the center part where there are vectors that create electrons and stuff, all the solar systems and planets exist at the not the epicenter, but the center, as in within the walls of this tesseract. And the thing about tesseracts is that since they are five-dimensional, they have to be moving constantly to be perceivable in 4D reality. You understand why? Because the shape moves and folds within itself. It can't be stabilized in four dimensions because it would break the laws of physics. It's abiding to the laws of physics by presenting one of its faces. What you visualize as a tesseract is simply one phase that the shape is in where it's viewable by four-dimensional entities. And so if that helps you imagine what they would actually look like, but the point is, the law of emergence dictate that when you begin the process, of anything, you're going to have higher level functions that arise just from you acting in a basic way. Like walking to the store is going to cause something to happen that is not a direct result of, it's not a part in the same timeline, but it happens anyway. Like if you combine enough words, you eventually get, a meaning that is actually greater than any combination of those specific meanings of the individual words you're using. I don't know really how else to explain it, but that is the law of emergence. And all you have to do is listen and watch. You can't know what's going to happen because you're on the level of this process that is creating the bigger picture. But then once time goes by, you eventually see what's going on and you realize, oh, there's a bigger picture at play here. I just didn't have access to it before. And that's a frustrating function of the human brain. That's why when people like take DMT or like smoke a lot of weed, they get to a consciousness state that it's hard to bring stuff back from it. They get to conscious states and they're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like the human brain can function like this. It's just you can't. It's like you can't feel the grass until you touch it. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's all. The purpose of this video is to watch later to remind myself that I'm a genius and to make everybody who hears it go to hyperspace if they want to. I'm not recommending you do DMT, but you can figure out a way how to get there. And when you do, post it in the comments. Thanks.